Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video devlog for my game. I will explain some things about the game, then how I got to where I am now. I didn't want this game to be too large scale space-wise, and it was mainly something that could maybe get me to finally finish a project. It was mostly inspired by the game Animal Well, which I heard about from a YouTube video, and even though I don't really play many games other than Geometry Dash and occasionally Minecraft, I decided to try it out and I liked it a lot, despite taking months to beat due to me missing some obvious solutions. One of the most interesting things about it for me was its multiple layers of deep and intriguing secrets, which I was a fan of for sure, as I've enjoyed watching videos about cryptic things and ARGs before. This led to the idea of making a Metroidvania that takes place in a relatively small environment, in contrast to the vast worlds of other Metroidvanias like Animal Well, Hollow Knight, and Environmental Station Alpha, which by the way are some of my other main inspirations along with Rain Road. In this small environment, I would incorporate many details and secrets, which would be easier to implement due to the smaller area I would have to cover. Plus, a small map would reduce backtracking too, which is a common issue in many Metroidvania games. Anyways, when I first started making the game, I thought it'd be nice to have some sort of code system where players could find codes throughout the map and enter them somewhere. The idea was that you would find the code, enter it into some sort of portal, and it would bring you to a different area. This here is an earlier version of the game that had portals working. Here you can collect keys, and eventually it leads to a code. And then after entering it into this portal thing, you would be brought to this area, which just says you win. This idea worked, but as I thought more about it, I didn't really want the portal mechanic to be the main focus of the game. I still liked the idea, but I thought it fit better as more of a one-time scavenger hunt at the end or something. At this point of the process, I was mainly just trying out random ideas I had in mind for the game, without focusing too much on art, since I knew it was important to get the gameplay done first, before spending weeks messing with shaders like I usually do. Eventually though, after watching a lot of tutorials, which I absolutely do recommend doing as they can be very helpful, I decided it would be a good idea to revisit what I actually wanted this game to be. That is, a Metroidvania with a compact explorable world and lots of secrets. I also want there to be some abilities with many different uses, hidden or not, that could help players progress as well as find secrets. Around this time I created my game design document, which helped me keep track of what I was actually doing. Now that I was hopefully more focused on more important parts of the game, I could return to prototyping. For some reason, I haven't heard very much about prototyping before I learned about it through a tutorial, but I think that prototyping and playtesting game mechanics is very important for making sure that the things you want to implement actually work in practice. I believe this realization is what helped me progress the most, and soon enough I was able to think of ideas for systems and abilities that could fit in the final game, prototype versions of them, and then send levels containing them to playtesters to see if they were viable. Some of the abilities I made were steel claws that would let you fight enemies and break damage walls, a grappling hook, and a spike protection ability that lets you walk through spikes. And all of this brings us to the current day, where after much prototyping and playtesting, I've developed the player's movement, a few abilities, a basic flying enemy, and other level design elements. And though this seems like good progress, it ultimately reveals one critical issue. If I just keep prototyping random things to see if they even work, how would I ever decide on what things are actually good enough to include? Or what if I make a bunch of abilities only to think of a better ability system that doesn't work with what I currently have? This, I believe, calls for a change in my approach. Despite how much of an impact they have in the game, perhaps individual abilities are not actually that useful in terms of designing the game as a whole. Of course, the abilities can still be used in the future if I do decide I want them in the game, but if I put more effort into the essential systems that bring everything together, I think I'd be in a better place than if I just had a bunch of individual abilities. These systems would be things like how the player equips and uses abilities rather than the specific abilities themselves, the rules of enemies in the world rather than the exact types of enemies, how secrets are discovered rather than the actual secrets. You get the point. So that's what I'll do. Think of what systems are needed for the game I want to make, find out whether they're actually fun and viable by prototyping and then playtesting them, then plan out how they'll all work together to make a functioning game. And then, of course, playtest that too. Maybe then I'll be able to do more in-depth planning for the game and eventually get started on some production, though of course there's still much to be done before then. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've never made a video like this before, so let me know what you thought about this format in the comments. I would also like to explain a few things about what I think the future of this channel will be, especially as I did mention in a community post that this game will be my main project going forwards. I don't think I'll be creating Geometry Dash anytime soon. I'll most likely still make and upload GD levels once in a while, but they probably won't be as large scale or as often as usual because I do want to keep my focus on the game. Anyways, I want to try and upload devlogs like this more often, so you all can check in for my progress in a hopefully more interesting and engaging way. It will definitely take more time and effort, but I think it will be better than just a post or a gameplay video every now and then. And plus, it might make this channel a bit less inactive for once, assuming this doesn't take too long to record and edit. If you have any tips, suggestions, questions or anything else, make sure to let me know in the comments. Thank you again for watching this video, and bye.